Live in HD from the station that brings you more West Texas news. News West 9 First News at 4 starts now.
Oh, you okay?
Dad?
You okay?
I can't hear.
West has been rocked to the core, and I hope that one day my town can be back to normal.
From right here in Texas, the small town of West continues their search and recovery efforts today after a fertilizer plant explodes. And to the east in Boston,
City, I'm really angry.
A joint prayer service is held to show support for the city that's also been shaken after 3 people are killed and hundreds others injured when bombs exploded Monday at the Boston Marathon finish line. There's no doubt our nation has been shaken this week by devastation. We're following both investigations closely. First, we begin here at 4 with the latest on the small town of West Texas. Our Gina Martinez arrived in the town of West early this morning with our crew. She's standing by live to bring us the latest information on the disaster. Gina.
Yeah, Audrey, we're here right now. We actually just wrapped up a press conference with some troopers who are helping out, give us information with this case. They're actually kind of backtracking, somewhat, I guess you could say. We've been told that there's 160 people injured, between 5 to 15 killed, but now in this latest press conference, we're being told that just several people have been injured and several people have been killed. We're supposed to have another press conference tonight at 6, so hopefully we'll get some more updates then. Earlier today, we did visit the plant site, and there was obviously a lot of destruction. Houses around the area had windows blown out. Businesses were picking up glass. It was pretty messy. People were trying to, just help each other clean everything up, and the community is really coming together in this time of tragedy. Now, the search and recovery efforts are underway. We're told it's going to be a very long and slow process. Right now, the weather is pretty nice, but earlier today it was rainy and cold, and that was making it a little bit difficult for rescuers to get into those houses. But we want to tell you a little bit of, go back to a press conference from earlier today, and they'll tell you how those recovery efforts are going.
Once they get a structure secured, then and only then are they being allowed to go in and actually search. It is tedious, it is time-consuming, but it is very methodical process that they are doing. Number 1 priority is to rescue and save lives in the event we can do that. The number 2 priority is to make sure there are no further injuries and nobody else gets hurt.
Now, again, those search and recovery efforts are underway. We have been told, and as y'all have heard, several firefighters are unaccounted for. So obviously that's bringing the mood down here, just down enough as it already is. Earlier today when we were at a local hotel, we saw a firefighter reunite with a friend. It looked like it was the first time that he had seen that person. It was very emotional. So obviously just tells you a little bit about the mood that's here right now in West Texas. Audrey?
Gina, have they told you anything about whether or not residents were ordered to evacuate whenever that fire did first start?
They really haven't said too much about that. They just said that actually a lot of people sound like they were evacuating by themselves. They heard that there was a fire and they saw that it was getting bigger. We saw an interview with one woman who said she knew that the volunteer fire department wouldn't be able to take care of that fire by herself, so she started grabbing her kids, and then that's when the explosion happened. So yeah, a lot of people sound like they evacuated on their own.
All right, thanks, Gina.
Thank
Well,
you.
Governor Rick Perry has also been monitoring the disaster in town of West. Today, he announced that he is asking President Obama to declare the area as a disaster area so the people there can be eligible for federal help. Despite the horror the community of West is facing, Perry praised everyone who's helping out.
Last night was truly a nightmare scenario for that community. But as I said earlier, we're blessed in this state to have the best emergency management team in the country, and they certainly were at their best last night, along with the citizens.
I've heard some people have been killed, but authorities, like you just heard from Gina, are going back and forth on those numbers. Nothing's been confirmed, and Governor Perry told reporters today it's not appropriate to guess those numbers. Well, many in the basin have been asking how they can help those in the town of West. The Red Cross tells us they have been getting flooded with phone calls today. As of now, they do not need any clothing or food, but they are taking monetary donations. If you'd like to lend a hand, you can go online to AmericanRedCross.org to donate. The home Home Depot will also be taking donation goods starting tomorrow. That is at Home Depot of Odessa. They asked for anything you can think of, from clothes to pet food to cleaning supplies. They will be taking it to West at the end of the month to drop off those donations. And for more on where to donate, you can visit our website, newswest9.com, and click on news links. President Obama is in Boston today for the first time since the attack that killed 3 people and injured more than 170 others. The president and First Lady were part of a memorial service to honor those victims as investigators continue their search for those responsible for the deadly blast. Jay Gray is in Boston with the latest.
Evidence teams worked along Boylston Street again today as federal agents look for 2 men they've identified in video from the crime scene. Neither named as suspects, but authorities would still like to talk with them about the attack. Also today, NBC News has learned that detectives have visited several Boston area hobby stores trying to determine where electrical components to build the deadly bombs may have been purchased. Growing memorials line the area still locked down by police. Signs of a city struggling through its pain to deliver a message of determination and resolve.
Nothing can tear down the resilience in the heart of the city and its people.
This morning, President Obama and First Lady Michelle joined thousands at a downtown cathedral just blocks from the blast site, delivering a message of hope to victims of the attack.
We will all be with you as you learn to stand and walk and, yes, run again. Of that, I have no doubt you will run again.
And a promise that those responsible cannot run from justice.
It should be pretty clear by now that they picked the wrong city to do it. Not here in Boston.
A city now united by the blast that tried to rip it apart. Jay Gray, NBC News, Boston.
Here's some good news out of that tragedy. Doctors at Boston Medical Center say they're pleased with how well patients are recovering from injuries sustained in Monday's bombings. This morning, the Chief of Trauma Services gave an update on the victims being treated.
And at the present time, there are 16 patients who remain in the hospital. Only 1 is considered critical, 10 are serious, and 5 are fair. And we plan on reoperating on 2 of these patients today. But in general, patients are getting better, and we are happy with their progress.
The trauma manager at the hospital says what he's seen in this situation is disturbingly similar to what he's experienced in Iraq, with treating large numbers of people hurt by explosive devices. And of course, as this tragedy takes over the hearts of everyone across the nation, people right here in the basin are doing their part to remember those in Boston. The Permian Basin Running Club is having a run tonight to honor the victims in Boston. Everyone is encouraged to come out and show their support at 7 o'clock. The run will be taking place in Midland at the Wadley Barron Park on North A Street. The event is free. Officials have arrested a Mississippi man who they believe sent poisonous letters to President Obama and other politicians. The U.S. Department of Justice made the announcement today. They say 45-year-old Paul Curtis is now facing 2 federal charges. The FBI says the letters to the president and the senator were postmarked in Memphis, Tennessee, about 10 days ago.
There are great consistencies between the content, the letter itself, the way the letter was written, the postmark of the letter.
Well, federal officials say more tests are needed to determine if the substance is actually ricin, and if so, how potent it actually is. If convicted, Curtis could spend up to 15 years behind bars. A former Texas Justice of the Peace is now charged with the murders of a Texas DA and his wife. Eric Williams is charged with capital murder for the deaths of Kaufman County District Attorney Mike McClelland, his wife Cynthia, and Assistant Prosecutor Mark Haas. Williams' wife, Kim Williams, was charged in the killings Wednesday. Sheriff's officials say the couple worked together and that Eric Williams was a trigger man, and that it all may have stemmed from Williams' firing for stealing.
When he was convicted and became a convicted felon, he lost his job as a Justice of the Peace. He now has his bar license suspended. He has no way to make a living. His wife is not working. His whole world was falling apart, and that is the motive in this case.
The former justice of the peace was arrested late last week, charged with making a terroristic threat after police say they traced a threatening email back to him. Shots were fired last night at a restaurant in Odessa, and now police are looking for the person responsible. It happened around 9:30 last night at Bush's Chicken on Andrews Highway. Police say the robber went into the restaurant, pointed a gun at an employee. That's when a second employee came in to check out what was happening. The employee tells police the robber cocked his gun and began to back away as they approached him. The thief then opened fire and ran. Another employee says the man also pointed the gun at him and demanded money when he was in the back of the business, but the employee told him no. No one was injured, and it turns out the suspect did not get away with any cash. Now, the suspect is described as being around 18 years old, 5'11". He was wearing a black mask, black long sleeve shirt with dark pants and black gloves. If you have any information, you are asked to contact Odessa police. A Big Spring family is terrorized after their 15-year-old son is kidnapped from their own home. Police tell us several people knocked down a door at a home on Wood Street and barged in. That's when one of them took out his handgun. Several people were at the home when it happened, but that didn't stop the group from beating the teen and pointing a gun at a man. The teen was able to get away when the kidnappers made a stop at a 7-Eleven. The suspects were found later on by police. Now, during the investigation, police learned the teen was accused of stealing from those suspects. The 4 suspects, 2 women and 2 men, have been arrested and charged with kidnapping and burglary. A second person has been arrested after last month's pit bull attack in Odessa. Rosa Sanchez is now being charged with attack by dog. Sanchez is the mother of Joshua Moore, the 17-year-old who owned the dogs, who has also been arrested on the same charges. A 54-year-old woman says it was the pit bulls who attacked her while she was walking through her neighborhood back on March 11th. An Odessa woman is behind bars after allegedly chasing another woman with a knife. Police say it all happened Tuesday morning when the landlord's daughter went to collect rent from Amaya Gibson. It was during the confrontation when the victims say Gibson ran back inside and came back out with a knife. Gibson even threatened to kill the woman before chasing her out. Gibson is now charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. She's being held on a $50,000 bond. A cold front has moved through the basin, bringing much cooler temperatures, and the wind isn't helping, making it feel more like winter out there. For your first look at weather, let's check in now with Sundal Wahani.
Well, Audrey, here's a look outside with our Storm Tracker 9 satellite and radar, and there's that cold front. It has moved off. We haven't seen much of any clouds today, so that's been a good start, but temperatures were on the cooler side today as we take a look at temperatures right now. 59 in Odessa, 60 in Midland. So it was a much cooler day for us today, something we haven't seen in a while. And as we take a look at winds, they are on the calmer side, but still very breezy out there, about 10 to 20 miles an hour from the south, gusting up to about 21 near Midland and 23 near Odessa. So it's a little breezy out there, mostly in the Permian Basin. But tonight, what we can expect, here's a look at our evening planners. 60 by 7 p.m., 49 by 10 p.m. and 33 is the overnight low for here in Midland. So take those freeze precautions. Remember to cover up your plants and to bring your pets inside. Audrey?
Miami International was partially evacuated this morning after someone discovered what looked like a grenade. It turns out it was just a lighter. The Miami Herald reported authorities spotted the device at an American Airlines checkpoint. Guards cleared the area while authorities checked to make sure the weapon wasn't real. No flights were delayed during the evacuation, and the passenger traveling with the lighter will not be charged. Disappointment and outrage rises from the gun control advocacy group Americans for Responsible Solutions. Today, the group's co-founder blasted the 45 U.S. senators who voted against a measure to expand background checks to gun shows and internet sales. Mark Kelly, husband of former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords, said the senators who voted against the measures were more concerned about their own political future than protecting the public.
If Congress will not act, if members of the Senate will not do their jobs and work to keep our communities safer, then we are going to have to change who's actually in Congress.
Kelly also added America's families will not be able to rest easy until Congress expands background checks. Bad luck is making its rounds again on another Carnival cruise ship. The Carnival Ecstasy returned to Port Canaveral earlier this morning after a brief power failure at sea. Canaveral officials say a mechanical problem knocked out the power, but it was quickly restored. Power on the ship was out for about 12 minutes. The ship was on the last leg of a 5-day cruise. Carnival is planning a $300 million upgrade to emergency power systems and other systems to prevent another repeat of the problems on the Carnival Triumph. Iraqi special forces are closing in on a top-ranking former deputy of Saddam Hussein. Here where they're searching for him just ahead. And an update on the new bird flu cases in China. Those stories are next right here on First News at 4. Former Secretary of State Colin Powell says the U.S. should, quote, destroy the North Korean regime if it ever attempts to use nuclear weapons. His comment comes in the wake of continued threats of all-out nuclear war from the North.
Warned them when I was in government and warn them now as a private citizen that any use of such weapons, or if we think those weapons are about to be used, the North Koreans will be held to account, and we have the capacity to destroy that regime. And I think that's what I would recommend we do if they ever use such a weapon.
Meanwhile, North Korea's top military body said in a statement the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula would begin only when the United States removed nuclear weapons that they claim Washington has deployed in the region. Well, security sources tell Reuters Iraq special forces are closing in on Izzat Ibrahim al-Duri. Al-Duri is the most senior member of Saddam Hussein's inner circle who is still on the run. The deputy was head of Hussein's now outlawed Ba'ath Party. According to Reuters sources, Iraqi special forces are searching for him in villages near Hussein's hometown of Tikrit. A possible startling development in China's war on a new strain of bird flu. Scientists are now investigating the possibility of human-to-human spread of the virus. Previously, it was thought that the new H7N9 strain of the bird flu could only be contracted through direct contact with infected feces. The World Health Organization says the new strain has so far killed 16 people in China. Back here at home, a much colder day outside. For the latest in weather, let's check it out with Sundal.
Well, Audrey, it's been very cool out there, and temperatures will just get colder into tonight. How long will this winter weather last? Well, stay tuned for my full weather forecast here at First News at 4.
Tracking storms throughout all of West Texas. This is Storm Tracker 9 weather.
Well, welcome back. Here's a look outside with our Storm Tracker 9 satellite and radar, and we are seeing most of the cloud cover has moved away with that cold front as that cold front just passes through. And with that cold front, we did see some cooler temperatures. So those jackets did come in handy today. 59 right now in Odessa, 60 in Midland, about 70 near Sanderson, so slightly warmer there right now. But it was a much cooler day, something we haven't seen in quite a while. Winds are a little gusty out there, about 10 to 20 miles an hour from the north, about 14 mile-per-hour winds in Midland and 15 near Odessa. So it's much calmer in terms of wind, but we still have a breeze out there, about 24 mile-per-hour gust in Midland and 23 near Odessa. So it's very breezy out there in some areas. But as we take a look at temperatures for Texas today, there's that much colder air. We did see some cool down in our temperatures with that front, but north of us did see much colder temperatures out there, and we do still see that front sort of just crossing Texas right now, and soon it will pass and we will see the return of some warmer temperatures by the weekend. So don't give up those hopes yet. We will see some warmer temperatures, but tonight we do see temperatures in the 30s, so take those freeze precautions out there. Cover up your plants, bring in your pets. It's going to get very cold out there. Winds will be at about 5 to 15 miles per hour. By the afternoon tomorrow, it should warm up quite a bit into the 60s, so still staying very cool out there. Winds about 5 to 15 miles an hour, so those jackets will come in handy for tomorrow as well. Here's a look at the Storm Tracker 9 5-day forecast. Start of the weekend is a little cooler with our high temperature at 79 on Saturday, but it should warm up by Saturday into the 80s, 89 by Monday, and a return of a cold front will bring much cooler temperatures into the 50s. And now here's a look at what's coming up at 5 with Crystal.
Well, we are continuing to follow that massive explosion at a fertilizer plant in the small Texas town of West. The town has just under 3,000 people living there. That's around the same population as Big Lake. One Midland woman has ties to this community. She shares her story with us coming up on News West 9 at 5. And we're learning more about a shooting in West Odessa last night. A man was found in his SUV with 2 bullet wounds. We'll have those stories and more coming up on News West 9 at 5. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We're continuing to follow the latest in that massive explosion in the small Texas town of West. Now, the search and rescue efforts are continuing there today. We do have Gina Martinez, who's standing by to bring us the latest on those efforts. Gina.
Yeah, that's right, Audrey. We are here continuing to follow this story. Obviously, a lot of unanswered questions right now. We do have some new information to share with you, though. The mayor of West told NBC News that 30 to 40 people are missing, and 5 of those are firefighters. Now, that's according to NBC News, who spoke with the mayor earlier, just a bit ago. Right now, some new information, or some other information to let you know about. The ATF and the state fire marshal are heading this investigation. We're told there's also a lot of federal resources and state resources out here to investigate this explosion. There's no word on how many people were inside the plant at the time or how many firefighters responded to the fire yesterday before the explosion happened. That's obviously something that's being looked at right now, and of course those are most likely some of the firefighters that are missing. Now, evacuees, there's a lot of them. There's shelters around town that are being set up, and at churches, at the community center here. They're not being allowed back into their homes yet, and media is not allowed over in that area, too. We're told it's very dangerous because of the structures. They're not very stable, but we're told that the damage in that area ranges from broken glass all the way to complete devastation. So obviously it's pretty bad, but we're hoping to get a glimpse of that closer up here pretty soon. So we'll have more details for you coming up tonight at 5 and 6. Audrey.
All right, thanks so much, Gina. Like you just heard, we're continuing to follow the latest developments in the small town of West. We'll be right back.
Well, welcome back. Here's a look at our Storm Tracker 9 5-day forecast. We're going to see some cold temperatures tonight. The overnight low is at 33, so don't forget to cover up your plants. Bring your pets inside because we will see some areas below freezing tonight. Tomorrow's going to be a much cooler day, but still very warm out there, 78. So we could see those spring-like temperatures return back.
Gotta love that Texas weather. All right, that's all the time we have for now. Stick with us, so more news is coming up at 5. Have a great night.